everyone to video 1.1b, which is the first PowerPoint that we're going to put together. The purpose of this is to give you an opportunity to first display what you know about PowerPoint, which is sort of important, but even more so is to give you a moment to think about what you've covered so far in the curriculum and put down your thoughts, and then after that be able to present that back to the trainer. So it's to give you an opportunity to think through things, put it down, and then present it instead of just sort of haphazardly presenting something, right? So you can be a little more refined that way. Also, it's to give you practice with working with the file server as far as putting those PowerPoints in a certain folder in a map drive. It's also giving you more practice with sending emails to a distribution, which this trainer's distribution is first of all, the distribution, if you've never heard of it before, is just an email where you send it to what looks to be a normal email, but it's actually a group. So this trainers is a group or distribution that goes to all of the trainers that we have. So we have 3 trainers, and it just goes to all 3 of them without having to manually type each trainer's email. So let's say if you don't even know who the actual trainers are, you just send it to this distribution and it gets there. And then just using specific subjects, so like, you'll have to do trainee whatever. So if you're trainee 5, it's be trainee 05, PowerPoint 01 is complete. It also teaches you how to make meeting invites and picking a calendar that's actually open, a calendar spot that's open. So just one of many PowerPoints you'll be doing. Again, it's not that you'll be necessarily doing a lot of PowerPoints as a help desk person. You'll do a few here and there, but it's more just getting you comfortable with using the calendar function to schedule things, giving you an opportunity to take notes of what you've learned so far, and most importantly, giving you confidence to present information, because you will have meetings that you'll have to be in. You'll have to talk in front of a couple of people. You might have to explain something to your manager. So we're trying to give you as many reps as possible with how to present things, basically. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull up PowerPoint, because that's the first step, of course. So type power and you'll see PowerPoint. So if you click on it, you'll see that there's all these different themes that you can pick from. So we'll just pick the WISP theme and we'll just click create. So I'm just going to get you started with this, but then we're going to use the cooking show style, where I'm going to show you a document that's already up and running, which is actually right here. So according to our standards, right, so this is PowerPoint number 1, so we're going to call it presentation number 1. So this is super easy, and I believe you've already done a bunch of stuff with PowerPoint, so hopefully none of this is new, but I'm just being careful and just covering it again. And then kind of a subtitle is items learned thus far. And that's just what I came up with. You can call it something different if you want. You have some discretion with this. So this would be your title page. And then you would right click here and do new slide. And so you get the picture. You basically pick your title. So like, I already got this one done. So for example, I picked curriculum overview as my title. So you can just manually create this. And then I'm going to add these items in here. So keep in mind with PowerPoint, you don't want to put your entire sentences in here. You don't want the slide itself to be really busy. Like you don't want to say like IT support covers, PCs, operating system, blah 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 blah. Like you don't want to write a lot of detail. It's just a quick bullet item that will give you a hint as to what to say, right? So that's the point of a PowerPoint, is to have the person that you're presenting to just have little quick bullets up here to keep their attention, but then your words will be what supplements it. So like don't write everything out in the slide, just have a reminder for digital literacy so you can explain what you covered in or what you learned in digital literacy. Same thing with IT support. When you present it back to your trainer, so then, for example, talk about like, during the curriculum overview, I learned that there's 3 phases to the curriculum. One is the Accenture Skills to Succeed part, which has 2 parts to it, digital literacy and IT support. In the digital literacy part, I learned about things like how to do research online, what sites to go to, what sites not to go to, how to avoid things like phishing scams, to avoid inappropriate sites, how to basically leverage browsers properly, things like that, right? And then IT support, I learned about more technical details like how PCs work, how to troubleshoot basic operating system issues, things of that nature. Then the second phase was lynda.com, which was a completely different learning management system. There was 2 parts to that also. One was IT help desk and one was an A+ technician. And in the IT help desk, it was more technical than the Accenture curriculum, in that it went into like specifics of troubleshooting Windows 10 and using things like Task Manager and system control and control panel, and basically specific tools within Windows 10 to troubleshoot. We also went into things like conflict management and some of the soft skills like customer service. The A+ technician was more about how to actually pass the A+ exam, which is a CompTIA exam. Then the third phase is the Transcend IT Custom Help Desk, which is a very hands-on type of curriculum that has a bunch of different topics, including Active Directory, networking, security, so on and so forth, just a whole bunch of them, which is supposed to kind of expose us to what a Fortune 1000 would actually have in the entire environment. So it's kind of like not just teaching us to pass a certification, it's teaching us holistically about what would be in an environment that's one of those Fortune 1000 type places that we're going to be placed at. So that was an example of, how to put this together and then how to leverage these little bullets to use as talking points so that you can keep your person engaged, but use these just as placeholders to remember about what to talk about. So now that you've seen how to create the first couple of slides, I'm just going to do the cooking show style, and you can basically recreate this PowerPoint. So title slide, the second slide, and also I'm putting notes in here. If you go to your PowerPoint, there's notes that you can add down on the bottom. If you click notes, you can raise this up and you can type whatever notes you want in here. So that's just more if you want to. It's an easy way to have speaking points or talking points if you want. If you feel confident to just talk through it from memory, you can do that too. It's up to you. I highly recommend the notes in a similar fashion as what I've done here. So, I basically just copied the stuff from the curriculum itself, right? So like, for example, when it came to the curriculum overview, I went and literally took this part, copied it, I basically copied all 3 phases and just pasted it into here in notes. So the notes are just for yourself so that you can basically, for example, I could have this up and I can use these as talking points. So I could say like, yeah, during phase 1, I learned about the Accenture curriculum, that was the digital literacy and IT support. Phase 2, I learned about help desk through Lalinda and then the A+ technician. Phase 3 was the transit IT. So you don't have to necessarily memorize it. You can kind of read off these notes too. So you don't have to go crazy and do it quite this way. You can write a shorter set of notes too, just something to keep in mind. So then the third, I didn't put any notes for the third slide, but you can talk about one of the other sections you saw, talk about Office 365 webmail. So you can basically pause this video and recreate the PowerPoint to be exactly these 5 slides. So just for the first one, I want to role model it for you so you can literally use the exact same thing like I did. So there'll be 5 slides. One is the title slide, and then you have this one with these notes in it. I'm just going to move this up for a second. Which again, these notes are directly from the actual curriculum, so you could also just come here and copy them. You could just copy this stuff into the PowerPoint. In the PowerPoint notes, I should say. And here's the next slide. So pause this and recreate it. Pause this and recreate it. And then pause this and recreate it. And that would basically create your 5-slide presentation. So all PowerPoints, I just want them to be 5 slides, and I want them to be just bullets that are talking points, not entire sentences or paragraphs. The slides should not be busy. They should be like brief and to the point, and then you can use your words to basically expand upon it. So at this point, you've seen the process to create the PowerPoint and how it should look. Now, just to explain how I came up with these topics. So if you look at the curriculum, these PowerPoints are at a certain point where you've covered certain things, right? So like once you've gotten to 1.1b, you've covered everything from here to here. Right, so obviously you're not going to include things in this PowerPoint that were down here because you haven't covered those yet. You're only going to include things that were up here. So I just logically picked, okay, well, a curriculum overview is part of what we covered. We also covered how to set up your laptop. So that was one of them. We covered O365, and we covered the file server. So if you go back to this, that's exactly what I covered, right? So the curriculum overview, setting up your laptop, Office 365, webmail, and file server access. So you just basically pick certain parts, because it's only 5 slides, right? So sometimes you'll have more material than you could fill in like 50 slides, right? But we're picking just 5 slides to keep things simple, because I'm also trying to be conscientious of your time, so I don't have you create massive presentations unnecessarily. It's just to get a little bit of practice, right? So let's say you were doing the next PowerPoint, for example. So that would be, covering all this stuff. So you might have one slide about this. You might have one slide about printing, another about physical security or privacy and data security, or how to use an IP phone. Things like that, right? So you could just literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a slide on each of these. Or just use your common sense to create 5 slides on 5 different parts that you learned, or 5 different things that you learned during that section of the curriculum. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to complete this video by kind of showing you how to name the PowerPoint exactly how I want it to be named and where to put it. So if you follow these directions, XX is your trainee number. So for me, I'm trainee 01 because TED trainee is kind of a mock username or a fake username that I'm using. So I'm trainee 01. You would probably be like trainee 10 or whatever you are, right? So just remember this is just a variable. So you would call it trainee 10 or whatever you are. So I'm going to be trainee 01. So according to these directions, you're going to rename it trainee whatever PowerPoint 01. So I already created one. So I'm just going to rename this, save as. I'm going to browse. So I'm going to paste this in here. So trainee 01, PowerPoint 01. So it's the first PowerPoint basically for trainee 01. And then I'm going to browse over to my file server. Okay, so then I'm going to go over to trainees. Now, I'm Ted, trainee. You're going to be Jim Swanson or whoever you are. So you should have already had a folder in here at this point. So you're going to go into your folder, and then if you have a PowerPoint Docs folder, put it in there. If you don't have a PowerPoint Docs folder, then right-click and do New Folder, and then make sure you name it this, right? So go into PowerPoint Docs and then save this. So at this point it's labeled exactly or named exactly what it should be. So we've got that part done, and we put it in the T drive in the PowerPoint Docs folder. So next we want to create an email where we send it to trainers@transcendit-mn.org with the subject of trainee whatever PowerPoint 1 is complete. So I'm going to go into my Outlook. I'm going to create a new email. And I'm going to send that email per the directions to trainers@transcendit, right? Which again is a distribution that goes to all the trainers. So trainers. And if you're not sure, you can click this to button. So you can see that when you click that, it it can see our entire address book. So this is like everyone in the company, right? So we can always search for trainers. So you can see that based on this icon, it's a group. Because each person, individual users will show up just as a one-person icon. But trainers will show like this type of icon, which is a group. And you can see also like you can expand this. So you can, if you wanted to, you could like see who the members are by just clicking on it. So you can see it's Adrian, Amantha, Dennis, Katie, and Teresa. So these are all the people that are going to get that email. Just by sending it to one place, it automatically is going to go to a whole bunch of people, right? So that's the whole value of a distribution, is that it saves people from having to painstakingly remember who all the people are. And by the way, I double clicked on it so to see that list. So it's just a much easier way to like put people into groups and not have to memorize who's all in the group. Okay, so I've sent it to trainers, and now I need to put in the right topic or subject. So I'm trainee 01. PowerPoint is complete. And so I'm just going to say trainers, or hi trainers. I've completed PowerPoint 01. I have placed it in or on the file server as requested. Just something that simple, right? And that's it. So you don't need to attach it or anything because it's already on the file server. Now we could also say something like it is located at we browse over to here. You can right click and do copy address text. There we go. So now you gave them the path too. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. At this point, I would just hit send. So that's going to go off to all the different trainers. Next, you're going to send a meeting invite to trainers also, saying that you're ready to present PowerPoint 01. So just do a meeting invite. We're going to do it with Outlook now. So you're going to go into calendar over here. And you're going to say new appointment. Actually, we're going to say new meeting. An appointment is if it's just for you, where it's just something that shows up in your calendar. A meeting is where you want to invite other people. So again, we're going to type trainers here, which is a distribution. And the subject is going to be, whoops. So the subject is going to be Trainee 01, PowerPoint 01. Location is conference room. So now you're going to pick a start time. So I'm going to look here and see if there's any conflicts or anything, and it's going to tell you like who's available at what time right here. So you can see that there's conflicts with all kinds of times where you're trying to find something that's available between all those trainers, right? So here, if we're trying to pick the 15th, for example, it's telling me that the best time if there's no conflicts would be, let's say 1 to 1:30, right? So I'll just pick that time. Now, obviously, you should pick a time that you're actually in class. So whatever time you're actually going to be there, that is also free of conflicts, right? So just look down here and see, okay, as long as it says no conflict and you're actually going to be there at that time, then that'll work. Now, if they can't do it, they can always counter propose a new time, so it's not a big deal. And yeah, that was it. So basically, you can just say, if you want to, trainers, I am ready to present Trainee 01, PowerPoint 01. Talk soon. So obviously you're going to say whatever your name is, and then I'm going to send that out. And that's it. So that's the end of this video. We've basically gone through the whole process of how to put together the PowerPoint. We talked about what the PowerPoint should look like. We talked about the bullet nature of it and not making it long paragraphs. We talked about how we would actually pick which of these topics to talk through, and the fact that obviously if your PowerPoint is here, that means you're talking about what happened since the end of that last PowerPoint. So it'd be like all the things in between the last PowerPoint and when that ended. Those will be all the topics you try to talk about here. We talked about the fact that all PowerPoints will be 5 slides. So it's going to look just like this, a title slide and 4 other slides. And that's it. So I'm sure it wasn't super difficult. It's one of the easiest tools, PowerPoint. It's really a nice tool for doing presentations, and it gives you a lot of confidence once you've done a lot of these, so that if you're not maybe doing a presentation but you're just talking in a meeting, it'll be a breeze compared to doing a presentation. So we're trying to prepare you for, a worst case scenario and then have you be pleasantly surprised. So just be patient. You may think it's kind of crazy to have to do this many presentations, but we're just doing it to give you as much practice as humanly possible at communicating and talking about these topics and using corporate lingo and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you found this as informative. Again, if you have any questions, please ask your trainer. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.